And now, we of course always save the best to last, or that's what we say to everybody. But I'm really pleased to invite Martin up to the stage from Safety Media Inc.
Well, thanks for that. I'm glad to be the last. And can you hear me okay? Okay, perfect. I tend to be quiet. So thank you all for staying. I really appreciate it. I'd like to talk to you about commercial fire and safety. Commercial fire and safety helps buildings and organizations with their compliance by providing instantaneous status across the building and across the organization. With that status, it allows organizations and buildings to manage their compliance, their safety, their maintenance much more quickly and easily. I have way too many features in our software to go through them, so I want to tell you the story of commercial fire and safety. When my partner and I, my business partner at the time, and I bought Safety Media, we were fascinated by the fire safety industry and couldn't understand why there was so little technology to help property managers. So we went on a tour, me, a computer engineer, my partner, a Google marketer, and we went and talked to various buildings, fire safety companies, essentially whoever would talk to us about the compliance status in buildings. We spoke to them about what their issues were. When we talked to the property managers, I kid you not, we never started on time. The list was unbelievable. I don't understand how people can actually work in an environment. And this is said with due respect. It's somebody drove through the garage door. Somebody's toilet overflowed and destroyed the condominium below. The landscaper didn't show up. Somebody drove onto the garden. Like, the things people do are quite remarkable. And the property manager's role, I'm supposed to click this, sorry. Here it is, property managers in the middle. The property manager's role is to deal with all this stuff, and it's all here and now. It doesn't come, you can do it next week. The tenant doesn't say, I'm quite willing to wait. So we spoke to the maintenance people as well. The maintenance people all have a stack of work orders. I got to do this, I got to fix that, I got to go there, I got to do that. And while they're doing it, they're maintaining the doors, they're maintaining the fire service equipment. They're looking at everything on the way, and they're talking to people, they're observing. Where does that information go? Nobody's going to sit and put it in a work order system, but it's critical information, particularly when you deal with things like fire safety or health and safety or your elevators or all of those components. It can really help you. And finally, the last person on the list here is the corporate person. The corporate person, I would pity that person if they ever had to read my writing. Ask any of our staff at Safety Media, and they cannot read my writing. And imagine having to do that across 600 buildings, trying to go through all of them at once. So we looked at that, and we thought we could take our 30 years of experience in writing fire safety handbooks, writing fire log books, working with fire departments, working with property managers, working with maintenance people, all around the notion of fire and life safety, and we could aggregate that data into a system that would help them. It had to be easy, and it had to be fast. So our first customer, believe it or not, was a building with 500,000 square feet. We were looking for a small building, but we ended up with a massive building. We built the software, we went out, and the property manager said, hey, this is great. This is really great. I love the ease of use. I love what you've got. I love what you're doing. But what about my building inspections? What about the fact I have to count my first aid kits? What about my health and safety inspections? What about my point patrols? And the list just went on and on and on. So we sat down and we said, okay, restart. Can't just start with can't start with a beach strategy and go from there. We have to start with a completely different approach. So we rewrote our software, and we made it so that it was eminently configurable to their equipment, their needs, their inspections from point A to point Z. And so that's where we got to. And again, I'm not very good with this thing, sorry. This is our story 5 minutes ago. A lot of words, so you can get it. This is our user interface. And what we've tried to do is make it so simple that the person at the corporate ladder can see everything in that building like that. And if you look at this, hopefully you can see the colors. They're kind of small on here, but you'll see two buildings are in great shape. One building is, it also has completed its inspections and tests, but it has a few issues to deal with. And another building has some issues that it needs to deal with, but it's also got some issues in inspections. That information is really gold, because in 2 seconds I can see across my enterprise. I can sort the buildings how I want to see it for them to go forward. As I mentioned before, our solution has to be easy. We have to win at the maintenance personnel. And we do, because there's only 3 things they need to know. And to be honest, our maintenance personnel take about 5 minutes to learn the system. That's it, that's all. And it's really simple. You want to mark something satisfactory, click it once. Want to mark something unsatisfactory, click it twice. If you mark it unsatisfactory, we take pictures or text, whatever you want. And then finally, if you want more information, because guess what? In the Great Resignation, there are people that don't know everything about fire and life safety or about health and safety. And so you as a property manager or building organization need to help them. And we provide that right on the tool by giving them hints, fire code, and support for what they're being asked to do. We also make the reports very simple. We started with the logbook. We believe the logbook is the right way to report compliance, report health and safety, report maintenance activities. And so we generate one for the entire cycle every time a daily inspection is done. Right up to date, right there. Do you want it? Email it to you. It's done. No need to find it in the desk. And if it was my desk, you'd never find it anyway. So it was a good thing it was online. I have a little chart here to compare paper and electronic log and C2020. Suffice it to say, there are huge savings to make by using electronics these days. There's no lost information. Everybody has the information they need based on their role and based on their requirements within the organizational enterprise. Everybody only knows what they need to know. Nobody would want me starting a generator, trust me. But so I don't even have to know when I'm doing my inspections that a generator exists in the building. I just need to know what I need to do to get my job function done as quickly and as easily as possible. So we began this journey. We began to make it easier, to make compliance cheaper, faster, more cost-effective for everybody. Our clients are united in really one thing, is that they all understand that complexity is increasing for everybody in this business. Lawsuits, risks are increasing for everybody in this business. We used to believe that we're Canadian and therefore we don't sue each other as much. That is not true in the property management business, I can assure you. We also know that financial resources in this world are not increasing, and staff resources are not increasing either. So we have to use the resources that we have effectively, very effectively, to keep the compliance and the maintenance and the structures of our buildings absolutely at the top level. And I will say this, for all the clients that we deal with C2020, you would love to be in those buildings. They are so safe, they are so well maintained, they just make you feel great to be there. We're down at booth 1005. Please come and see us. We'd love to show it to you in more detail. We'd love to talk to you about what you're seeing. And frankly, we'd love to steal your ideas and put them in our next version of the software.
I know, as a recovered property manager, I would have loved to have something like this when I was managing buildings, and to be able to see it all there from the health and safety standpoint, it's amazing. And I think the more you can automate this stuff, the more likely the stuff actually gets done. Now, you do a lot of these presentations, you're talking to a lot of people on the show floor. What's sort of the number one question they ask you?
The number one from a fire safety perspective is do we have to have a paper record? Because if you actually read the fire code, it says you must have a written record. And I won't mention our competitor by name, but they have actually translated that to convince some people that you have to have a written record in a hard copy book. This is not true. What you need to have is a record of what you've done.
Right.
So the record has to be accessible. That record has to be available whenever it's required to be shown to the person that needs it at the right time. So that's kind of the number one on that front. Another question we get asked a lot is, how do you implement this? There are so many checks, inspections, and tests.
Right.
How do you get this implemented effectively? And I think the number one thing that I would say is don't do it all. Just start with one thing. Just get one thing right, then build the next, then build the next. And it's so simple once you get it going. The staff push you to do it. You don't have to push them, they're going to push you. And that's the case for most of our clients.
That's amazing. And imagine as they see that doing the first thing is easy and your system is easy to use, that then they want to do more.
Yep.
That's amazing. Any questions yet? I hope you come back tomorrow because we got lots more presentations. What objections do your client objectives do your clients face when they're implementing the solution, or what challenges have they had, and how did they overcome them?
I think the challenges are it's change, and whenever you're dealing with change, you have to manage change as a function and as a component of doing technology. Whenever you implement anything, it's people, process, and technology.
Right.
The technology gets you so far, but the people and the processes that you use will actually get the job done. And so I go back to the notion of don't try and do everything. Get something small working, deal with all the objections, make sure that's fixed to their satisfaction, then go to the next one, then go to the next one. And by doing that, you'll accelerate it, and you'll be there before you know.
Amazing. That's very true. And I think you hit the nail on the head earlier as well. Like the property manager is going in a million directions, and so are their team. And it's hard to find that extra time to implement things. Mm-hmm. But if they can see that light at the end of the tunnel, that this whole process is going to be easier as we move forward, and you're going to have that compliance, which is we're seeing a lot more focus on compliance in every organization. That your product would be a gem for them as they get it implemented.
Thank you.
It seems like we've sort of answered all the questions, and drop by the booth. They've got you got lots of people there to help people out and walk you through the different solutions you have. So, but thank you very much.